Thank you for joining us for our shiur on Parashat Hashavua. This week's parasha is Parashat Naso. In Parashat Naso, uh, really so many things, but I wanted to concentrate about the prohibition on a person that accepted upon himself to become a Nazir. Nazir, there's not really an appropriate English translation to that. A Nazir is really a monk, but that's not what it really means. But, similar concept, you understand what I'm talking about. It's that a person that became a Nazir decided to become a Nazir, so therefore he's not allowed to drink wine. It's forbidding him to drink wine. It's a machloket rishonim in, following what the Gemara said in Masechet Nazir and Daf Gimel Amud Bet. If a Nazir is allowed to drink wine of Kiddush on Shabbat, or Kiddush Bichlal. So at the beginning of the Sugya, at the beginning of this chapter, it seems like the Nazir is not allowed to drink from the wine of the Kiddush. But later on in the discussion of the Gemara, it seems like the Gemara rejects this understanding. Why? As the Gemara says, since the Nazir mushba ve'omed me'ar Sinai, he was sworn since they received the Torah on Sinai that he has to do so. So it's a machloket rishonim among early sages how to exactly understand what the Gemara is saying. So in Nazir and Divur Matchil Veharei, it says that yes, the Gemara rejects that previous understanding that a Nazir, call it a monk, is not allowed to drink wine for Kiddush. In other words, he cannot make Kiddush on wine. Why? Since every Jew has the obligation upon him to drink the wine from the time he was commanded in Har Sinai, and that Nazirut, that action and applying that upon himself to become a monk, it's comes later than the obligation that he was obligated in Sinai, and therefore that obligation is not going to apply on the wine which is consumed for Kiddush. And as much as a person cannot swear, for example, not to say Kriyat Shema, a person says he swears not to say Kriyat Shema, that does not apply. Why? Because the obligation to say or to recite the Kriyat Shema comes before that obligation, or when the Torah mentions about swearing, and therefore it applies since Matan Torah in Har Sinai. That's why you can say it. Rabbeinu Tam in Sefer HaYeshav disagrees with that, and he wrote that the Gemara writes his words, or the discussion is written b'lishon tmiya. It's kind of wondering. In other words, it says, "V'chi nazir mushba ve'omed me'ar Sinai lishtot yain bekidush shezeh yidche et naziruto." What? The Nazir, that monk, is sworn to or is obligated to drink the wine when he makes Kiddush. And so that would postpone his vows that he took as a Nazir? Of course not. That's why the wine of Kiddush, according to Rabbeinu Tam, that obligation applies to him as well, and he cannot drink the wine. The Rosh also agrees with Rabbeinu Tam, and he writes that mideoraita, there is no mitzvah to make Kiddush on wine. I mean, you can also make Kiddush on bread if you don't have it. But just to mention that, B'dibur, what we said, Kedushat HaShabbat, that's what it is. And the Kiddush on the wine is really mid'Rabbanan, not mid'Oraita. So, based or following this prohibition in the laws of Nazir in the parasha, that's what we're going to try to deal this week. Really, is this a mitzvah to become a Nazir? There is a Kedusha in that. Or maybe it's a sin altogether. As we're going to see later on, there is a great contradiction between that. And really the contradiction is applied on how do we refer to the body, our body? How do we refer to materialistic substances? What is the essence of the Nazir altogether? And really, what is the purpose of man in this world? So is it really a mitzvah? Is there some kind of special thing to become a Nazir? So the Gemara in Masechet Nedarim brings a machloket. A machloket is a contradiction on this question between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Shimon, there is a sin. It's a sin to become a Nazir. And a proof to his opinion, he brings from what the Torah says. The Torah says that when the Nazir stops its period of Nazirut because of impurity, he needs to bring a korban. He needs to bring a sacrifice. It says, "V'chiper alav ma'asher chata ala nefesh." Right? So it comes from there. You can learn from that the Nazir actually did a sin. So what's his sin? As Shmuel says, which Shmuel really holds like Rabbi Shimon, it says the reason is that he made something that the Torah said it is allowed, he made it asur for him. He forbidden it upon itself. As the Gemara says in Masechet Ta'anit, in Daf Yud Aleph Amud Bet, and it says the following, Amar Shmuel says, Kol hayoshev beta'anit nikra chote. Anybody who's fasting is considered to be a sinner. I mean, fasting, of course, not because of a rabbinical decree or Yom Kippur. He just decided to fast, and he brings a proof to his opinion because he says, Ki hai Tanya de Tanya Rabbi Elazar Kapar beRabbi Omer. Rabbi Elazar, in the name of Rabbi, says, Ma Talmud lomar v'chiper alav ma'asher chata ala nefesh, because it says that he sinned on the soul, on the nefesh. V'chi be'eze nefesh chata. What sin did he do on a soul? Which soul did he obligated? Ela shetzi'er atzmo min hayayin. He made himself feel bad that he can't drink the wine. He prevented from drinking wine. It's very bad. He says, V'halot dvarim kal v'chomer. It's very easy to understand. Umazeh shelo tzi'er atzmo min hayayin nikra chotei. If a person that says, I'm not drinking wine anymore, is considered to be a sinner. Hametzaer atzmo michol davar v'davar al kama v'chama. And a person that is fasting now and not eating and drinking, even more so. On the other hand, we have the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds that the Nazir is entering a certain level. And the level that he's entering is a level of holiness. He becomes holy, and he's not become a sinner. It's a big fundamental difference between the two. As support to his words, he brings from the Pasuk, it says, Kadosh yeh, he's going to be holy, Gadal paras se'ar rosho, and he needs to let his hair grow. So it's evident from here that there is a certain holiness in his actions. So the question will be, how would Rabbi Yehuda deal with the pasuk, with the verse that Rabbi Shimon bring? So it says Rabbi Yehuda holds that the Nazir, that monk, is considered to be choteh, a sinner, only in the case where he became impure, and that causes him to stop his Nazirut, his vow that he took upon himself. But as long as he did not become impure, in other words, he is not allowed to go to cemetery and so on and so forth, anything else that of impurity, he's considered to be holy. We need to understand that just a person, when he says, I'm going to become a Nazir, that makes him automatically a Nazir, a monk for 30 days. Tam Nazirut 30 yom. Now, so that's, you see that we're coming here to a philosophical fundamental difference between two opinions that is tremendous. Now, that machloket, or that approach, is continuing further in a machloket lahalacha between the Rambam, Maimonides, and the Ramban, Nachmanides. How should we relate to a Nazir? So the Rambam, Rabbi Moshe Bar Maimon, in Halachot Deot, Perek Gimel Aleph, was posek like Shmuel. It says that there's no business for a man, for a Jew, to become a Nazir. And if he does, he's considered to be choteh. Really, this is, as he's posek himself in Halachot Nedarim, Perek Yud Gimel, Halacha Chav Gimel, he says, Kasher Adam ro'eh shu sata me'aderech ha'yeshara, when he sees, and pay attention now, it's very important what the Rambam is saying. when he sees that he's diverting from the path, right? He started to do things he's not supposed to be doing. For example, all of a sudden he started to drink a lot of wine, etc., etc., etc. Then, and only then, there is a mitzvah on him to become a Nazir. In other words, so he would not sidetrack. But when everything is handling on the right path, everything is normal, everything is reasonable, there is no commandment, no mitzvah, there's no reason to become a Nazir. On the contrary, there is a certain aspect of sin on the matter. And it's fundamental. The Ramban, on his Perush on Sefer Bamidbar, Perek Vav Yudaled, disagrees with the Rambam. And he holds that the Torah calls a Nazir, a Choteh, a sinner, because he chose to go down on his level. From a person who is a Nazir, he is holy, and then he becomes just like any other person. So we need to pay attention that the Rambam does not reason like the words of Rabbi Yehuda in the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda said that the Nazir is considered to be a sinner because he became impure. The Ramban, Nachmanides, says that even if the Nazir himself, right, completed the time bound that he gave to his vow, as we said before, for example, 30 days, without becoming impure, just the mere fact that he is not a Nazir anymore and he is going back to a normal life, that for him is considered to be a chet, it's considered to be a sin. As the Ramban writes, and I'm quoting, וטעם החטאת שיקריב הנזיר ביום מלאות ימי נזרו, the reason that he's going to bring that sacrificial lamb on the day that his vow comes to an end, לא נתפרש, it was not explained. ועל דרך הפשט, just for a pure common sense way, כי האיש הזה חוטא נפשו במלאת ימי נזירות. Why? כי עתה הוא נזיר מקדושתו ועבודת השם. וראוי היה לו שיזיר לעולם. In other words, he was able to be on a high level, and now he becomes just like anybody else, and it would be appropriate to continue in this path forever and ever. ויעמוד כל ימיו נזיר וקדוש. He should be a holy man and a Nazir, a dedicated person to Hashem only. It says, and now that he's coming back to this world, and he is allowed to eat and drink and so on and so forth, he's coming back to impurify himself with the desires of the world. That's the approach of the Nachmanides. So let's continue, make this machlok, this disagreement even more valid, right, Avner? And let's bring two examples. Each one of those mefarshim, of these commentators, goes to his shita in regards, for example, to sickness, to illness, and even to death. Now, when we talk about sickness, the opinion of the Ramban is that when Am Yisrael was going in the ways of Hashem, the diseases or the illness that they had was a result of a spiritual blemish. Like, for example, if a person was eating at the time, back then, eating without making a bracha, that would have been an immediate ramification to the sin, and the person got immediately sick. And because of that, when a person is sick, at that time, we're talking about the times of the prophet, he would not go to a doctor, right? He would have gone to the prophet that would tell him where exactly he blemished in order for him to repair his way, to fix his ways, or to become healthy, as he writes in Sefer Vayikra Perek Chavav, Pasuk Yudalev. It's just fascinating to read that. And the reason is, Ki behiyot Israel shlemim, when Am Yisrael is whole, is complete, lo itnaheg inyanam bateva klal. Therefore, whatever is happening to them is in a miraculous way, where the Jews do what they're supposed to be doing. Lo begufam, not in their body, everything is miraculous. Lo be'artzam, in their land. Lo bichlalam, in general. Lo beyachid mehem, nothing. Why? Ki yasir machala mikirbam, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when you act the way God wanted you to act, He removes all these things from you. He says, V'chen hayu tzadikim. That's how the righteous people used to do during the time of prophecy, with their prophecy, right? Even if there was a avon or sin or something like this, right? לא ידרשו ברופאים, they would not go to doctors, רק בנביאים. Why? Because the Ramban says, מה חלק לרופאים בבית עושה רצון השם? What business does doctors have to do in a household, in a gathering place of people that do what Hashem wants? Because it says, Ani Hashem rofecha, I'm God, your doctor. Why are you going to people like this? Why are you going to doctors? Now, the Rambam, Maimonides, in Perusha Mishnah, and to Tractate Psachim, Perek Dalet, Mishnah Yud, was completely opposing this mindset. And he writes that it's sechlut she'en leyaches dugmata ela lagruim sheba'amon. It's kind of a stupidity that you can't even imagine, and this something is appropriate to the lowest level of all people. And he asked a question on this word. He says, why when a person is hungry, he's eating? According to the Shita of the Ramban, is you're hungry? So pray to Hashem that will make you full. Why are you praying for Hashem? I mean, don't do what we do today. When you feel hungry, you're going to eat. You should pray. It doesn't make sense. The same thing the Rambam says. When you are sick, you should go to the doctor to cure yourself. And that's a natural, that's the way natural things happen in this world. So their machloket, their disagreement really depends on the machloket, as we said before. The Ramban with the Nun claims that that matter in principle, in idea, could be something so refined, and in an ideal situation, like for example, before the sin of Adam HaRishon, sickness and illness is a result of a spiritual misconduct. The Rambam, Maimonides, on the other hand, holds that since the nature of matter is to disintegrate, to fall apart, a person naturally becomes ill, and there's no other way around it. And this is amazing how the Rambam deals with that. You just gotta love this. Now, how do they treat, what's their approach towards death? I mean, it's something, death, it's like a taboo, like, I don't know. But, we gotta deal with this. So the same thing, there's disagreement in their regards to how to relate to death. According to the Ramban, a person was supposed to live forever. And we know that nothing lasts forever, even called November rain. But a person was supposed to live forever. Also, he says, in his body, in this world, was to really work Hashem, to worship Hashem. And just because of the chet of Adam HaRishon, therefore death became an issue in this world. Then people started to die. According to his opinion, it is quite possible, and there is a reality that refined material would never get ruined, right? And if it's really refined, and therefore the real reality, the complete reality, is what we said beforehand. But not today, it's not the case. The Rambam disagrees, and he holds that the reality in which the human body would last forever, would live or would maintain forever, it is not reasonable. And the natural aspect of matter is to disintegrate. And always, since always, man was destined to die. As the Rambam writes in Moreh Nevuchim, and Guide to the Perplexed, in section 3, Yud Bet, which is 12 over there, it says, לא תייחד נפשך בשקר שיהיה אפשר להיות בעל חיים שלא ימות ולא יכאב. Don't let your soul, your intellect, dwell into the concept, into this lie, that it could be that a living organism would live forever and it's not going to die and or not going to experience pain. It's impossible. It's a lie. And we all know that everything that is alive eventually is going to die. It's impossible to avoid it. That's a natural thing. So we spoke about life. We spoke about death. Now let's talk about being a Nazir. How would they look at a Nazir? According to this word that we just said before, the main machloket in regards to Nazirut is quite clear. The Ramban holds that the reality of sanctifying matter is possible, and it's good that a person would become a monk, a Nazir, and would prevent himself from the pleasures of this world, and by doing so, he's going to purify himself. And on the other hand, according to the Rambam, the reality of refining matter is impossible. And efforts to refine matter to such an extent were doomed to a failure. Therefore, according to his opinion, a person should not become a Nazir. And on the contrary, that would prevent a person to becoming intellectual and to receive information and to grow and develop. And only in the case when a person goes after his desires of the body, and that is the cause that would prevent him to get closer to Hashem, then you should be a Nazir. Right? So far, so good, right? Don't worry, we don't have a lot. Maybe we do, but we don't. But let me tell you something. So this is very interesting. This is very fascinating. But I'm not really sure that we really understand this whole drama that engulfs in this parasha of the Nazir, the real reason in it. Or maybe I should really say really what's not in it. Because the whole story started when somebody sees a sotah. Sotah is a woman, a married woman who betrayed her husband. And therefore, he sees the whole ceremony that takes place, and therefore he decides that it is really impossible to continue like this, and we really got to do something about it. But it doesn't make sense. It just simply doesn't make sense. Why does it make sense? What? You want to tell me that if I saw the ceremony of a sotah, of a woman who cheated on her husband, and the emphasis is on the I need not to drink? I mean, for crying out loud, what does my bourbon or my whiskey or my wine has to do with her action? I didn't do anything. She did it. And I need to prevent myself. I need to stop drinking wine? I mean, it doesn't make sense. But it seems, according to common sense, that we really need to do something according to our common sense. And the most common thing to do is when we see a case like this is, you know what, since that's what happens and could be a tremendous destruction of a Jewish home and kids fall apart and this whole thing, guess what? You know what? I'm not going to get married. Or if I'm married, I'm staying away from my wife. And not only I'm going to away from my wife, I'm going to find myself some cave in some mountain, and I'm going to go with a box of dried carobs and a little bit of water. And, just like the other monks do in Christianity, in Islam, in Hinduism, and endless other religions, to separate myself and meditate until the end of times under a waterfall somewhere in the mountains, live like a hermit, right? But the Torah says, no, wait a second. No way. What is that you're doing? That you want to become a monk, a Nazir, doesn't mean that now you got to go on the mountain and become a hermit. Doesn't mean that you're exempt, for example, of putting your kids to sleep. It don't even think that there is a contradiction, for example, or some kind of like a conflict between, let's say, for example, becoming a Nazir and sexuality. You want to be a Nazir, you want to be a monk, fine, not a problem. You can grow your hair, you grow your long hair, right? Everybody would really see that you're a prophet, that you're a Nazir, that you're a monk, right? Separate from death and separate from drunkenness. And that's it. And this is like, for example, we'd see if we heard of something happened to some kind of a woman and, in some club or something like that, and you say, oh, Yashem Yerachem, God forbid, look at what Yetzer Hara can cause us to do. Or they find some guy in a place he shouldn't be, right? Look what Yetzer Hara can do for us, or drag us to do. It's terrible. And then in this excitement of so-called, and I use the word so-called zealousy, you decide to really take your kids from play groups that are boys and girls together. You stop listening to women talking. You stop breathing, and you start parading down the streets, and you're going with the measuring tape to see how long the skirts are, how long the sleeves are, and so on and so forth. But then you feel that all that you did is not enough, and you're wearing, like it could be like 110 degrees. You're still going to wear your Borsalino and your black suit, and never mind that you're boiling, but still feel that this is not enough. So what you're going to do? You're going to start fasting Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on and so forth every single month. And then at the end, you're going to stop drinking coffee. Forget about lattes that you gave up a long time ago. Even when you're going to drink water, it's going to be water with salt. And you're going to stop eating sushi from this point on. And you're not going to enjoy taking a bath anymore, and not to put deodorant. Never mind, other tortures you're going to do to other people, and whacking yourself with whips and chains, and free for all. Yet many people would say, "Oh, what a big tzaddik!" But the Torah does not say you're such a big tzaddik. The Torah hints you, the way I understand it, that you got it all wrong. And pay attention, guys. It's almost the end. Pay attention. This is fantastic. The Torah tells you, where's the psychology major? The Torah tells us this is not the eros and not the thensos. Thensos is the drive of death, right? One of the two fundamental drives that we have, to side by side with eros, which is the drive for love and sexual desire, right? We have the drive for death and whatever comes with it, as Freud says that they're somewhere there at the basis of our id, right? The Torah comes and says to you, no, this is not the case. It's fantastic. It says that the beauty, the healthy beauty of life is that what we forgot to do. And there's something that we forgot. What is the real beauty of life? The long hours in which we dedicate playing computer games that were meant, for example, only to quote unquote kill time. The tremendous and horrific boredom that doesn't skip people in all generations. The levels of and that will bring you to high levels of suicide, and the effort of people to jump above time, above life, to get drunk until you lose conscience, to try all kind of drugs and to be addicted to crack and cannabis and all kind of other cholerot, right? Or any other kind of artificial stimulation, superficial stimulation. What is wrong with somebody's life that he needs to bring himself to this state? What is wrong with somebody's life that he needs such excitement or such a stimulation to feel that he's alive? Why hasn't he gone down back to the basic points of life? Therefore, if you want to fix things, if you really want to be holy, and that's the way of the Torah, if you want to be holy, you have to go back to life itself. As the Rambam writes in his books, they write in the Mishnah Torah, the section that deals, it's the whole entire book, that deals with forbidden relationships, forbidden eating, with all the earthly desires. How does he call this? He calls it kedusha, holiness. Holiness comes by knowing what is right and what is wrong, to be able to fix the damage of Adam HaRishon, to be able to identify this is good and this is bad, and to stick to the good, to identify bacharta b'chaim, and you choose life, the basic excitement of just being alive, to live life to its fullest, without flirting with death, without floating in psychoactive materials and psychedelic materials, to live life of yetzirah, of creation, of doing, life of contribution, life of love, of kindness, life of limud Torah, to find new meanings and to strengthen the old meanings that we had in our lives, to add another smile in yourself to everybody that you meet every morning, to hug your child at night, another hug before you go to sleep, another little kiss to a child, to your grandchild before you go to sleep. After you do that, then you can really drink wine. You can really enjoy life. After you connected to life, you could enjoy life. You don't need all these things, because the reason why you have to prevent yourself from that, the Torah wants you to simply focus back on life. Stop drinking. Stop doing all this, and by the way, we are all involved in this census of the drive of death. We're always looking for negative things, for catastrophes, and we provoke them to come up all the time. Comes the Torah tells you, the reason why the Sotah went off the derech where she betrayed her husband is because she did not appreciate what she has. She needed a new excitement. And therefore, you cannot drink again until you're going to be balanced again. You're not going to drink. Look at life without a distortion. Don't drink wine. Don't go to cemeteries. You're exempt from going to cemeteries. No funerals for you, nothing for you. Only purity. Purity and holiness. Connect to life again without distortion. Rabotai, we could do the same thing today. We could do the same thing today. By the way, if somebody wants to dedicate a shiur, a lesson, that one of the things that we do to any cause, if you want to do leilui nishma, to the memory of someone, or for the hatzlacha, or for whatever it is, you could do so. Please let us know. You can contact us at rabbigaon@gmail.com. You could go to our Yeshiva website at yeshivaetzion.com. There is a section over there to donate. You can do it through PayPal and so on and so forth. You can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. And please, when you watch our videos, please, guys, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Very important that you share. We want to get to this message of positivity and life to as many people as we can. This is how we're going to make the difference in the world, Rabotai. And the most important thing is never to give up hope. Even if I walk in the valley of death, God is with us. Salvation is on the way, guys. Don't give up hope. Shabbat shalom. Be safe, be strong, be happy, be alive.